Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Digamos que es un gran placer para mí presentar al profesor Dr. Uwe Fritz. Igual un poquito acerca de su biografía. Uwe Fritz nació en 1963, estudió biología en la Universidad de Stuttgart-Hohenheim. De 1990 a 1996 trabajó como jefe del acuario del Jardín Zoológico de Wilhelm en Stuttgart. Del 1996 a 2001 fue empleado como herpetólogo en las colecciones de Historia Natural de Dresden. En 2001 fue nombrado director de este instituto, el cual se fusionó con Senckenberg en 2009. Desde 1996 fue profesor de la Universidad de Leipzig, donde se convirtió en profesor extraordinario de zoología en el 2008. Actualmente es miembro de la Junta de Directores de Senckenberg, ha publicado numerosos artículos en herpetología principalmente, ha editado actas y otros documentos como libros. Entonces, okay, it's a pleasure to, the talk will be in English, so it's a pleasure to introduce Uwe. I hope you have understood something in Spanish.
So Mario, many thanks for your introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad to be here. And as you perhaps know, the background for this talk is a collaboration contract between the university, the National University and Senckenberg. And while it's quite obvious what the National University is, I can imagine that many of you don't know what Senckenberg stands for. Senckenberg is a German research institution which has its 200th birthday next year, and Senckenberg is one of the organizations in Germany that belongs to one of the four non-university research pillars. To understand how research is organized in Germany, you have to know that the education of the next generation of scientists is concentrated at the universities. But in addition to the universities, there are four non-university research pillars which are primarily devoted to research and to a much lesser extent to the education of students. These non-university research pillars are the Max Planck Gesellschaft, which is the Society for Excellent Research in Germany, and the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft, which is devoted to applied research in Germany, the Helmholtz Gesellschaft, which is an overarching society in which the large research facilities for astronomy, for instance, are concentrated, and research vessels. And the last research pillar is the Leibniz Gesellschaft. And Senckenberg belongs to Leibniz. Senckenberg is one of the Leibniz institutes. Does work only imperfectly. And now you justify what is Leibniz? The Leibniz Society was founded in 1995, and there are approximately 90 institutes in the Leibniz Society with 18,500 employees and 9,300 researchers with a total research budget of more than 1.7 billion euro per year. The Leibniz Society is an organization in which very different research institutes are united that work in different fields, but it has an exemplary field of a regular evaluation of the research quality. Every 7 years, the institutes in the Leibniz Society, in the Leibniz Association, are evaluated for the excellence of their science. The name of the Leibniz Association comes from a German philosopher and polymath, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who wrote a lot of really important books on science and philosophy, and one of his most famous sentences was "Theoria cum praxi," what means that theory and science have to be combined. Here you can see that the Leibniz institutes are distributed all over Germany, and we have several sections in which the Leibniz institutes are organized according to their research. In Leibniz there are really also institutes that make humanity and educational research, economics, life sciences, math, natural sciences and engineering, environmental research, and Senckenberg belongs to the section of life sciences. And among these approximately 90 institutes of the Leibniz Association, Senckenberg is the largest one. Senckenberg was founded, as already said, approximately 200 years ago by citizens of the city of Frankfurt. And the name Senckenberg comes from one of the important citizens of Frankfurt at that time. He was a physician and he inherited the city of Frankfurt all his money after his death for fostering research in natural history and medicine. And this is the origin of the name Senckenberg. And already in the early 19th century, the Senckenberg Society engaged in establishing a natural history museum, and for collecting specimens for that natural history museum, for instance, they made an expedition to Northeast Africa, what was Abyssinia at that time, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and many, many important scientific specimens were brought back during this expedition. And these early researchers of Senckenberg corresponded, for instance, also with Charles Darwin, and some original specimens of Darwin are in our collection in Frankfurt. But Senckenberg is not only concentrated in Frankfurt, it's distributed virtually all over Germany with other departments and other institutes that belong to our Senckenberg organization. And some of the locations are much older than the Frankfurt one. For instance, I'm the director of the Senckenberg Institute in Dresden, and the Senckenberg Institute in Dresden was established as part of the Royal Chamber of Arts and Naturalia in the year 1560. And what's quite remarkable is that already in 1728 a special natural history museum was opened in this famous Baroque building in the center of the city of Dresden. Today you can see there only arts, but originally this Baroque building was filled with natural history specimens by this famous King of Poland and Elector of Saxony, Friedrich August II. Senckenberg is until today a society which lives from the society members. It has more than 5,000 members, and these 5,000 members constitute the backbone of Senckenberg. As you can see from that slide, the organization structure is quite complicated, and I will not explain you all in detail, but what is important is that there are several departments in several locations all over Germany, and they are under the leadership of a director's board, and I'm one of the people being in this director's board which developed the research strategy for Senckenberg. As already said, you can see Senckenberg is distributed over quite a number of the 16 federal states of Germany. It's present in 7 of the federal states with institutes and research departments. We have labs, molecular genetic labs, ancient DNA labs, geochronology labs, stable isotope labs. We are running one research vessel in the location Wilhelmshaven. We are running 3 natural history museums in Frankfurt, Dresden, and Görlitz. And these natural history museums together have about 9,000 square meters of exhibitions and 500,000 of visitors per year. Our natural history collections altogether have about 39 million of series and specimens, and our scientists are producing approximately 680 publications per year. And in these different locations all over Germany are 800 people employed, among them 200 PhD students, and we have quite a number of guest scientists per year, 500, and altogether we have a budget of 48 million euro per year. Just to give you an impression of some of our locations, this is the headquarters in Frankfurt with the dinosaur in front of it. This is our institute in Dresden, the Research Institute in Dresden, Natural History Museum in the Baroque city of Görlitz, and this is our research vessel, which is run in the North Sea and the Wadden Sea in northern Germany. The headquarters will expand massively next year with approximately the duplication of the space for the collections and the research, so that then 25,000 square meters will be available for research and collections. In addition to that, but it's not funded yet, it is planned to expand also the collections considerably from 6,000 to 10,000 square meters in the next years. Just to give you a glimpse on the research infrastructure, the collection infrastructure, this is the department in Dresden. We have several blocks in which the collection rooms are, and we are using this sort of cabinets, which is quite good, and we have a cooling system in some of these rooms so that the room temperature is approximately 12 degrees there, which helps a lot against insects. This is a view into a cabinet of our insect collection. Some of our specimens, yeah, the Tilsine. There's quite a number of extinct mammals and birds in our collection due to the age of the collections. We have a famous collection of nestle fossils. I will show you another slide. Then we have a famous meteorite collection, a famous primate collection, an amber collection, huge entomological collections with name-bearing types of approximately 20,000 species alone in Dresden. And we are also responsible for a World Heritage Site in Messel, which is close to Frankfurt. Messel is a fossil pit in which incredibly well-preserved fauna and flora of the Eocene, approximately 47 million years old, is preserved in an excellent condition, as you can see here in this dwarf equid of the size of a little dog, or this famous paleoprimate, which raised a lot of public awareness in the past years, Darwinius massilia, because it's on the root of the primates and has relationships to the New World primates. As I already said, we are running quite a number of labs. We are running at most locations DNA sequencing facilities with Sanger sequencing and NGS sequencing. In Dresden, in addition, we have an ancient DNA lab in which we can extract DNA from subfossil specimens, but also from museum specimens. Yeah. In NGS times, the defragmented DNA of the museum specimens is no longer any problem, because now you're using small fragments anyway. I mean, so far this opens really a window into many, many research questions, and it's simply important to avoid too much contamination, and for that we are we are running the ancient DNA lab, which corresponds simply to a system of clean rooms. In our geology departments, we have geochronology labs in which you can determine the age of minerals, of stones, and so on, which is quite important to date the layers and the faunas in these layers. And we are also running a stable isotope lab, which is located in Frankfurt. Also in Frankfurt is our data and modeling center, in which large computer facilities are available for modeling shifts in fauna and flora. And Senckenberg also edits quite a number of scientific journals, most of which are now ISI listed and in the Web of Science. Basically, we are covering taxonomy and systematics with our journals, but we are also running some journals like marine biodiversity or soil organisms, which are more devoted to ecological questions, but include also taxonomy and systematics. Our exhibitions have on average about 500,000 of visitors per year, and we are having there an active museum educational service. And in addition to these activities in the exhibitions, we are also running a school for museum technicians that are trained in maintaining scientific collections, in collection management, preservation of specimens, and so on. A few impressions from the exhibition in Frankfurt. Of course, every large natural history museum needs dinosaurs, but quite contrasting, there are also insects, which have several rooms. And this is a glimpse in the exhibition of early humans. Senckenberg researchers often are university professors or lecturers, and due to the federal structure of Senckenberg being distributed over 7 federal states of Germany, our scientists teach at different universities all over Germany. The size of these bubbles shows you the hours per semester taught by Senckenberg people. That means the big bubbles correspond to the most active Senckenberg universities, and the smaller bubbles mean that there is less taught by Senckenberg researchers. And this is our window for gaining the PhD and master students which join us in our research facilities then for doing their thesis. In addition to the university activities, we are proud to run an international taxonomy school, which was launched in just 2 years ago, with really great success with international participants from South America, from Africa, from Europe, from Asia. And the speciality of this taxonomy course is that it is entirely devoted to taxonomy and systematics and how natural history museums deal with this matter, which plays an increasingly lesser role at the universities, so that it's important that these disciplines are well established at the natural history museums. Yeah, now perhaps you are asking the question, impressive, but what's the matter of Senckenberg? Senckenberg has a mission. We always say we are doing geobiodiversity research. We are analyzing the biodiversity in Earth system dynamics to serve science and society. This mission implies also geology and paleontology. A big part of that mission is our collection management. We have archives of life with our big collections with more than 39 million specimens or series. And the public outreach is mainly concentrated in the museums and in the education of students and museum visitors, in the hope that we can bring over the message how important it is to preserve the biodiversity of our planet. And this research and this mission is organized in the so-called Senckenberg temple, which concentrates the different research disciplines in different pillars and in different basements and in an overarching roof. You can see that biodiversity and systematics is, so to say, the basement of all the other disciplines like ecosystem research, climate research, and earth dynamics research. And overall, there is the transfer in the museums to service in the roof of science and society as part of our research program. And of course, at the very root is the infrastructure. Our collections, the labs, the research vessel, the research stations, like in Messel, where the Eocene fauna is studied. Just a quick impression of our staff and research output and of the development of Senckenberg during the past 10 years. Senckenberg expanded massively. Originally, Senckenberg was only located in Frankfurt, and then we established a network of natural history museums under the roof of Senckenberg all over Germany. This led to a massive expansion of the staff by a factor of more than 4. We have now more than 260 permanently employed scientists. That's an expansion roughly also of 4, of the factor 4. The research collections, of course, grew massively. The number of PhD students, third-party funds, and the number of ISI publications. This is extremely nice, grew most strongest compared to the other things. And you can see the development of the published ISI articles over the past 15 years and the number of the citations in the Web of Science, which is not so bad, I would say. What makes Senckenberg unique? Our approach to geobiodiversity. We are integrating geological and biodiversity research to elucidate the evolution of biodiversity of our planet. Part of our research program includes the climate aspect. You all know of the challenges of a changing climate for biodiversity. And what is also unique in Germany is our research area of human evolution and paleo-environment, which includes all aspects of human evolution. Also the primate collection, of course. And we are most likely the most complete natural history research institution in Germany that covers virtually all fields of biodiversity research you can imagine. I already mentioned our collections and our members of the society. Senckenberg has quite a good network with other research institutes and research museums all over Germany. This gives you a quick impression without going into details. You see that there are a lot of universities involved at which the researchers of Senckenberg teach, and there are also a lot of other institutes, research institutes involved, like the Alexander König Museum in Bonn, or the Museum für Naturkunde in Berlin, which are like we research institutes within Leibniz. Also on the international level, we have quite a number of close collaborations, and this world map shows you the number of publications with authors from the indicated countries. And as darker the colors are, as more publications are published in the span of time from 2010 to 2015. You can see that the most active collaborations at the moment are with the United States, but also with Canada, with Russia, with China, with Australia. There are active collaborations with quite a high number of publications. But due to our collaboration contract, we hope that the future will, of course, look like that. Yeah? That in future there are many, many publications produced, many close collaborations between Senckenberg and the Universidad Nacional in Colombia. And I hope a bright future is waiting for all of us. And thanks a lot for your attention. Yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Yeah.
Research money comes directly from the federal government, or you have to apply for grants?
Both. The 48 million euro per year are the basic funding, which comes from the Federal Republic of Germany and the federal states in which the individual institutes are located. As a rule of thumb, you can say that the Leibniz institutes are funded 50-50 by the federal state in which they are located, and the other 50% come from Germany as a whole. And in addition to that funding, we apply for research grants from what is here called Ciencias, is in Germany the DFG. Yeah. This is one of the major grant givers. There are also other funding possibilities. As you perhaps know, Mario was for several years working with us in Dresden, and Mario had funding from the German Academic Exchange Service, also from DFG, and the last years were funded by the Humboldt Foundation. These are all opportunities for the students. Let me say it that way. The basic funding allows us to run the labs, the research infrastructure, the daily normal research activity. But typically the student work is funded by third-party funding. Yes.
What is the area of the national parks in Germany?
The area, that's a good question. Can you help, Rafael?
It's less than 10% actually of the country area, so we're actually below the standards that most of the Latin American countries reached so far. It's still an ongoing process even in Germany. I mean, there's hardly any really natural habitats left anyway. It's mostly cultural, anthropogenic influenced habitats.
To say
The short answer,
35,000.
correct numbers, I just know it's, we have how many national parks now? I think 4 or 5 national parks. And they also comprise anthropogenically disturbed areas that have been harvested but have been set aside for nature protection in recent times. They contain some tracts of large forest ecosystems, but compared to most of the developing country areas, Latin America, Africa, actually it's pretty little.
It's pretty little, and to reinforce what you have said, typically we have no pristine landscapes left. Europe is formed for 2,000 years by agriculture, at least 2,000 years, and the only natural park in Germany which is really preserving pristine area is the Waddensee National Park, which is a part of the North Sea, which has an enormous tide. Yeah, that means in the evening you have the sea, and in the morning you have the mud. Yeah, over hundreds of square kilometers, and you cannot use this area for anything, which is why it's simply until today pristine.
I have a question. If somebody here, if a student here wants to really profit from this agreement that we have already signed with National Senckenberg, how could it work for the student? Does he need to contact anybody in Senckenberg, or just an intention letter, or there will be? Do you have in mind a way how will it work?
The easiest will simply be to know somebody at Senckenberg or to know you, and when you receive an email, typically we will react quite rapidly. Yeah, we are open to collaborations, and typically we need in the first step funding for a student coming over. And that means if anybody of you has the interest of sending a student, or if a student has the interest and the initiative to come over on his own, we first have to look for a funding possibility. And the best funding possibility for making a PhD is the German Academic Exchange Service. And there are every year, I think, 2 evaluations of proposals. And that means we have to develop together a proposal for a thesis. And we have to submit this proposal. And then the proposal will be evaluated, and within approximately 1 year, it is clear whether we get the funding or not. And when we get the funding, the student can come over for 2 years. And there is a monthly funding for the student, covering the living expenses, and we will cover, I'll say, the lab consumables and so on. When anybody is working, how we find a way for doing it.
How do you explain your success in supporting taxonomy in a world that is moving towards biotechnology and other kinds of research, even for jobs as important for taxonomy staff? How do you explain your success?
I think at the moment we are in a big biodiversity crisis, and a lot of public awareness is at the moment in this field because people begin to realize that we are losing a lot, and we need to find out what we are losing, to protect it, and to develop strategies what can be protected, to develop strategies for certain priorities. And therefore, I think the possibilities are not so bad at the moment. And as a rule, at least in my institute, we are training students in lab techniques which can be applied also beyond taxonomy. Yeah. For example, one of my first PhD students was working with lizards and doing molecular phylogenetics of lizards, and she got immediately afterwards really well-paid employment in forensics. Yeah. Because there she has to use exactly the same methods. Yeah. And for her it was more important to find quickly a well-paid employment than to stay in science, and it was quite easy. And this is an example, if you train the people also in the state-of-the-art techniques, that it can easily adapt also to other applications of the same techniques. We are running the same machines like in a hospital. Yeah?
This institute
some of us are participating in this 10K project of insect genome sequencing, but not the human genome. Human genome and human research is always, let me say, a little bit special.
Could you tell us a little bit more about this agreement between Senckenberg and the National University?
Yeah, this is quite an overarching agreement which allows to send over students in both directions. Yeah. And it allows researchers of the Universidad Nacional, when they send us over students or when they wish to come over, to use our research infrastructure and to get in contact with all the Senckenberg working groups in all the Senckenberg locations. Yeah. And vice versa, we have the opportunity to get into contact with all the locations of the Universidad Nacional and have also access to your facilities. Yeah. And so for now we have to fill this contract with life. At the moment it's just 3 pages of paper with a few signs on it, but it's on us to make it valid and to make a good thing of it. I think we can mutually profit a lot of the contract.
Ok, bueno, muchas gracias por su atención y pues una pequeña publicidad para mañana. Estaremos en el Instituto de Genética en un mini simposio y en donde presentaremos, digamos, el uso de información molecular para incrementar conocimiento y conservación de biodiversidad, y estaremos pues varios investigadores colombianos, y aparte de V estará Rafael Ernst, herpetólogo, un ornitólogo, Martin Peckert, profesora Nubia Mata de la Universidad Nacional, varios estudiantes también con proyectos muy interesantes de la Universidad Nacional, y pues al final digamos que tendremos una copa de vino para celebrar, digamos, la firma de este acuerdo, que en realidad espero que todos aprovechemos porque en realidad digamos que se hizo un esfuerzo grande por parte de la universidad, por la doctora Catalina Arevalo, directora del TRE de la universidad, y también por ellos, los investigadores alemanes que están muy comprometidos en empezar a hacer algo juntos, y pues la muestra de ellos que vinieron aquí a mostrarnos esto. Entonces, gracias por su atención, y mañana desde las 8 de la mañana estaremos en el Instituto de Genética con presentaciones también muy interesantes. Por ejemplo, hay representantes del secretario del Instituto Nacional de Salud acerca del desarrollo de venenos y muchos temas que son del interés también de biólogos